Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Next, we will look into the apportionment of joint costs, now based on the net realizable value method, or NRV in short. Okay, the net realizable value method is sometimes known as the sales value at split off point. So in practice, normally the joint product will be processed individually beyond the split off point. Thus, market value or sales value may not exist at the split off point. So how do you work out the sales value at split off point? So that will be estimated sales value at the point of sales less additional processing cost. So if you still remember, so you want to work out how much is the sales value at the split off point. So because a certain product, they need to have a further processing cost. So in this case, you do not know how much is the sales value for product X, for example, here. How much is the sales value here? Because you incur further processing cost, then you will have the final sales value. So what you need to do, you want to work out how much is the sales value at the split off point, or known as the net realizable value. So that will be your final sales value minus any further processing cost that you incur. Then you will get your sales value here. Okay, so that is what you are doing here. The sales value at the split off point will be the estimated sales value at point of sales. That means your final sales value here minus any further processing cost that you incur. So you will have your sales value at the split off point. Okay, so the following are the sales value at point of sales and additional processing costs for each of the product. So we continue with the same example. If let's say you have three products just now, X, Y, and Z, and these are the unit produced, 40, 20, and 60,000 units for X, Y, and Z. And then given that the final sales value at point of sales, 150, 250, and 100. So let's say if you have these three products, you have the final sales value here. Okay, all these three requires your further processing cost, and you have the final sales value. And then given that the additional processing cost respectively for X, Y, and Z are 40, 50, and 10,000 ringgit. Okay, so you need to work out how much is the NRV. So if you have this one, you need to work out how much is the NRV. How do you work out the NRV? So the NRV will be the estimated sales value at point of sales here minus your additional processing cost, this one. So you will get 150 minus 40, you will get 110,000. So for your X, the final the sales value, the estimated net realizable value at the split off point will be 150,000 minus your 40,000. So 150 is the final sales value minus your additional processing cost of 40,000. So gives you 110. And then you do the same thing for Y and Z. So for Y, it will be 250 minus your 50 gives you 200. The other one for Z, that will be 100,000 ringgit minus your 10,000 ringgit as the additional processing cost. So that gives you 90,000 ringgit for your NRV. So you want to split your 150,000 cost, that is your total joint cost. You want to split this now. If you want to split this for your joint products, how much for X, how much for Y, and how much for Z, you are using the net realizable value method. So you are using the NRV method. So NRV, so you already work out how much is your NRV. Now you use the ratio of your NRV to apportion your total joint cost. So in this case, you will have 110,000 ringgit divided by total of your NRV. So total of NRV is 400,000 ringgit. So you do the same thing as before. You take the ratio, but now the ratio is based on the NRV. Okay, so that will be 110 divided by 400 times with the total joint cost that you want to apportion, that is 150,000 ringgit. So that will give you 41,250 ringgit. Next, you do the same thing for Y. So Y will be 200,000 divided by 400,000. This one, the NRV that you have already worked out, that is 200,000 for Y divided by the total, that is 400,000, and then times with the total joint cost allocated. So you will get 75,000 ringgit. Do the same thing for Z. Z will be 90,000 divided by 400,000. You time with the total joint cost that you want to apportion, that is 150,000. So that will give you 33,750 ringgit. If you were to add all this up, it will again give you the total joint cost, that is 150,000. So now based on NRV, you know how much is the cost for X, how much is the cost for Y, and how much is the cost for Z. So these are the values. And if you want to work out how much is the cost per unit, as before, you just take the total value here divided by the unit that you produce accordingly. So you will get 1.03 for X, 3.75 for Y, and 0.56 for Z. So that's how you do the apportionment of joint costs based on the net realizable value. So I've already explained to you how you want to apportion your joint cost. So in this case, for example, you have 150,000. So that is your joint cost, and then you want to apportion that joint cost to each of your products. So you want to apportion that to X, Y, and Z. So you can choose the three methods, or depends on the question which method that it requires you to do. So the first one, I've already shown you the physical measurement method. Next is the sales value method, and the third one is the net realizable value method. It's just you want to find a certain basis or certain ratio that you want to use so that you can allocate the total joint cost to each of your joint products. Okay, for your syllabus, you need to know these three methods. However, in fact, there are other methods to apportion your joint cost. So you can read more on this. For example, you have the contribution margin method. So under this method, the joint costs are divided into variable and fixed, and you find the contribution margin, and then you allocate based on the contribution margin. And then you also have the average unit cost method. So under this method, total joint cost up to the point of separation are divided by the total unit produced to get the average cost per unit. And then you also have the gross margin method. So under this method, all processing costs that each joint products incur after the split of point are added up. Then this amount will be subtracted from the total revenue that each product will earn later on to find the gross margin. And then there are also survey method, also known as point value method or weighted average unit cost method. So costs are apportioned on the basis of percentage of point value assigned to the products according to their relative importance. And then there are also other methods like direct allocation method. This one is applicable if the joint costs are capable of being technically estimated to each of the joint product. Sometimes you also have the standard cost method. So under this method, the joint costs are apportioned based on the standard cost. So in fact, there are various other methods that you can apportion your total joint cost. But for your syllabus, enough for you to know these three methods that I've already explained to you. Okay, and then you can read further to know the benefits, the drawbacks of each method, and the reasons why you choose a certain method compared to others, or when are these methods suitable to be used. So basically, you just need to find a certain basis to apportion your joint cost to each of your joint product. Okay. So hopefully that you have a better understanding on this, and then do your revision. So with that, I thank you.